Hi beautiful people, welcome back. Hope everybody is doing fantastic wherever you are in this world. Hope everybody had a wonderful week. Today's video we'll be talking about the Amazon Docuseries, which actually came out early. It was only supposed to have come out today, but it actually came out yesterday. And for me, I think it came out just after 7 o'clock Central Time, which I actually just walked in from dropping my granddaughter off, and my daughter said to me, "Mom, the documentary is out," and we immediately started watching. But unfortunately, I only made it through 2 episodes. I was totally exhausted, and most importantly, we have to talk about the tantrums without a crystal ball was throwing last night. But as per usual, my usual disclaimer, please do not take what I say as fact. Feel free to do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Let me start by saying this, and this is to all Kylie Joy supporters, her stans, who actually have or feel the need to take Kylie Joy's side because she was actually dropped by a streaming network. Obviously, they have their reasons why, but they feel that they have to have Kylie Joy's back and totally disrespect victims. They said there was nothing new that was actually reported or discussed in this docuseries. Shame on all of you, because at the end of the day, you guys have just discounted all these victims' stories. Even though you may have known what goes on in this religion, these victims still deserve to be heard. Their stories still need to be told. We need to listen to their stories, because as much as they could be similar, everybody's story is different. And at the end of the day, their voice needs to be heard, because they are the ones that suffered all this hardship. They are the ones that went through this their entire life. They are the ones that were brave enough to actually gain back their power. So shame on all of you Kylie Joy stans that took up for Kylie Joy by saying that this documentary brought nothing new to the table. Moving on. Today I did finish all 4 episodes of the documentary or docuseries. It was touching, informative, even though I am familiar with the religious sect, but most importantly, so heartbreaking. And the reason I say that is watching these people tell their stories, how much pain and trauma they were exposed to, yet they won. They took back their control. They took back their power, and they claimed their lives. Also, what was the purpose of Amy King in this documentary? In my opinion, she didn't contribute anything of value. Also, did anyone else catch the clip of Backwards Barbie that they used? I know that must have pissed Kylie Joy off even more. And as for Jen from Fundy Friday, she did an amazing job. She was the perfect fit. So like I said in part 1, when she started talking about the docuseries, she was very negative, and in my opinion, it felt like she was trying to deter people from actually watching this docuseries. Then she had a change of heart, because this is what she said when she actually made a video discussing how Jill Dillard is so brave that she didn't even, I don't even think she ended up saying why Jill Dillard was so brave. But check this out.
Docuseries are wonderful. Unfortunately, they can only show so much in a limited time frame, and this story is ginormous. I do like to see the angle that they're taking with this, and it makes me happy to see the way this direction was going. Admittedly, I was a little bit skeptical a couple days ago.
First post she made, now watching Shiny Happy People Duggar Family Secrets. Saw this laughing emoji, bullseye. Shame on you, Amazon. Jim Holtz is an abusive. Olivia Chris told me on a phone call, "We don't paint Jim Holtz as the best historian. He's not painted as honest." When I confronted her about Jim Holtz's abuse of his children, "Do not be fooled. Jim Holtz is an abusive monster. He is a liar. He lies, and he abused his wife and children. They aren't good witnesses. Jill would have testified, but Bobby couldn't help herself to insert herself. Jim could help himself. They were out for vengeance and nothing else, period. Bobby may be a victim of Jim, but she's a monster. Neither of them helped those kids, and they married their daughter to a pedo." Amazon tried to take my channel down for commenting on the series and claimed I took their content. I have investigated this cult for 5 years. YouTube sided with me and said their claims that I copied their content was false. Amazon, you don't own the story of the IBLP or the victims. I handed you my sources and gave you phone numbers. You dumped me because Jim Hall told you that I was a liar. I told you Holt was an abuser. I'm done. These are my opinions and my thoughts, freedom of speech. Then I'm going to read you a post that Kylie Joy actually deleted because apparently Amazon tried to take down her channel or strike her channel. This was the complaint, and as she said, shame on you, Amazon. Ben Miller, you don't own the IBLP story. I didn't reproduce your content. I covered this cow for 5 years. You don't own the IBLP story. Your behavior is why the victims of Gothard didn't participate in your series. Can somebody once again tell me how old this woman is, acting like a child? You tried to take my channel down over my own research and commenting on your series. You could have had me for your series. How delusional are you, Kylie Joy? Clearly. Remember, they dropped you. They didn't want you. They let you go to another streaming network to work on another project. Are you delusional? You knew nothing about the IBLP when I spoke to you. I warned you about Jim Holt. You picked sources that had platforms, victims of Gothard that didn't want anything to do with you for a reason. Now, Kylie Joy, let's be clear about one thing. When reporting on such an important story like the IBLP, who better to have resources than actual victims? So what is the problem if they did pick sources that had platforms? Get over yourself. Jane Doe 3 is the only victim featured. Other victims were not happy with her involvement. She did what she felt was right for her. She went ahead, she told her story. So why are you, Kylie Joy, shaming this victim? Shame on you. YouTube sided with me. They said their claims that I copied their content was false. Amazon, you don't own the story of the IBLP or the victims. I handed you my sources and gave you phone numbers. When your producers contacted me, they knew nothing about the IBLP. I handed you Derek Dillett for the series. I warned you about Jim Holt. You dumped me because Jim Holt told you that I was a liar. I told you Holt was an abuser. I'm done. And because Fundy Fridays hates Morgan and Paul, they get in this documentary and add nothing. Kylie Joy, first of all, does that even make any sense? To me, it doesn't. And secondly, why are you including Jen in this? You need to get over yourself. You need to learn how to handle rejection. And then, as I said to you guys, the truth always comes out. Remember in the first part, she says that she was let go because of Jim Holt. Jim Holt told the producers that she was a liar. Then she says she left because she went to another streaming network to work on another project. But there's the truth. You dumped me because Jim Holt told you that I was a liar. Truth always comes out. These next few posts that I'm just going to be breezing through, you can actually pause and read it if you like. But I'm not going to go into great detail because it's just not worth the time. She's just at this point, she's just letting go of her frustration, and that's all she can do at this point. Jim Bob's still repped by Chad Gallagher, and she basically goes in and says that this guy, Chad Gallagher, actually is still overseeing all the other kids' social media and all that bullshit. Totally absent from the docuseries. This is when she goes in and says, but they said they were going to go into Gil Bates, and how she explains Gil Bates as part of the board. You guys, as I said, can pause to read it. WOCB's thoughts on the docuseries. Here we go. The new docuseries about the Duggar family and the Institute in the Basic Life Principles is now available for streaming on Amazon Prime. I had the chance to watch the series in its entirety last night. Overall, the series does a decent job of explaining the IBLP and their role in the Duggar family show. The show also uses survivors of the IBLP to narrate and share their stories of how the teachings played out in their homes. Each survivor revealed horrific stories of physical abuse, sexual abuse, and spiritual abuse in their homes. The Duggar family in many ways is not the focal point of the series. They are used as a way to illustrate the overall problems of abuse in the IBLP and the scope of abuse within homes. While there are many details about the Duggar family revealed in the series, there isn't too much that is new for people that have long followed the family. However, the docuseries verified and confirmed nearly all of the reports in WICB has done on the family. Wow, what a shameless plug there. But who cares? Because not everybody can stand your guts, Kylie Joy. They know the type of person that you are, in my opinion. How you exploited these kids for monetary gain. But we'll get into that later. Jim Bob and Michelle's corporal punishment of the kids was not addressed by Joel and was mentioned by Amy. And here we go. White knighting for her friend, Amy King, who in my opinion once again contributed shit to this documentary. Other survivors explained how peddling of children extends into adulthood. One woman claimed some men peddle their wives. Overall, the survivors of the IBLP were given their moment to share their stories. The docuseries used a number of survivors that have created platforms on social media to speak out. And what's wrong with that, Kylie Joy? There's nothing wrong with that. Jill Duggar did not address the abuse she experienced by Josh, and she maintained that it should never have been public. She did take her dad to task for forcing her to cover for her brother and minimize the abuse on Meghan Kelly. I'm glad that Jill and Derek are writing a book because I do think that this will give more clarity to the story. They were featured a lot, but so were many others. My biggest criticism is the producers' heavy reliance on Jim and Bobby Hall to be the storyteller of the abuse that occurred in the Dagger home. The end of the series bothered me the most. Bobby stated the girls were forced to stuff down their feelings and couldn't share their pain. She also spoke to the control in the Dagger home, but they have been accused of doing the same to their kids. Get the fuck over it, Kylie Joy. Get over it. The point here is that their experience with the Dagger kids. They're not there to say, oh, but we did this. No, that's their fucking business, Kylie Joy. Maybe you should focus on what's behind your walls. So before you go and degrade Bobby Holt for the brave thing that she did, you should take several fucking seats. I apologize for the cursing, you guys. Then she goes on, she says, the IBLP released a statement on the recent coverage of their group. Per usual, they are blaming the liberal media for slandering them. They also deny the allegations of abuse and say they aren't a church or a cult. They claim the attacks will help them recruit more people because it will bring new people to their website. You know what this reminds me of? You know how people like me report on Kylie Joy, how she enjoys us reporting on her, and she says she doesn't mind because it actually brings more people to her channel to see what she's all about. So this actually validates for me that Kylie Joy truly is like a cult leader. But anyway, you guys can read the rest because this is just of no interest to me. In the next post, she actually took this from the docuseries, screenshots of Derek and Joel's contract with TLC. And as I said, you guys can pause to read it because I feel this is like totally out of bounds in my opinion. Then she goes after James Duggar, and because he posted this screenshot that just says, it's okay to lose your pride over someone you love. Don't lose someone you love over your pride. And she goes ahead and says how he's on daddy's payroll. Totally out of hand. But then again, she goes after James, Jed, and Joy post deflection content. And clearly there we go once again, because they make posts, they're deflecting from what's going on. Can Kylie not get it through her mind that some people choose not to actually focus on the negative that's going on? They don't want to deal with it. They're dealing with it behind the scenes, privately. Let it go. Stop stalking them. Stop antagonizing them. Just let it go, Kylie Joy. It's the weekend. Go enjoy your family. Take a break. Calm down. Take time out. Have a drink. Do what you need to do. In the docuseries, Jill and Derek revealed that in order to be paid a lump for the time on reality TV, Jim Bob required his children to sign a lifetime contract with his production company. This means that the adult kids, even without being on the show, believe they are still under contract with Jim Bob. According to Derek, the kids received the amount of minimum wage. Jill and Derek refused to sign a contract while the others went ahead to sign. Derek told me in 2022 that he believes many of the adult children may still believe that they are under contract with Jim Bob. Therefore, content that they post online may be at the direction of Jim Bob and for his production company. The Duggars publish the content of the adult children on their website as propaganda and for profit. According to reports, Ginger and Jeremy negotiated their own contract with TLC for the final years. Only 2 of the 19 children are not under lifetime contracts with Jim Bob Duggar. Legal threats are also allegedly used against the kids, says Derek. So next time you consume content by any of the Duggars, either than Jill or Ginger, remember who controls the purse strings. So you are going off hearsay, not directly from the other kids, but from Derek. So we got to believe your hearsay. Because honestly speaking, and this is just coming from me, I do enjoy Joanna's vlogs. She just seems so sweet, but that's just me. And others like Jessa and Colin Bates. Absolutely adore their content. None of the kids will speak out against Jim Bob due to their belief that he cannot, and that they allegedly believe they have signed NDAs, according to what Derek publicly stated. So now it's no more you spoke to Derek in 2022, but what Derek has said publicly. Gotcha. So yes, James' recently post is about Jill, not his dad. He's on Jim Bob's payroll. They all are, including Jessa. And after Jim Bob and Michelle have been accused for fraud, forgery, illegally signing contracts for their adult children on payment, and forcing their kids to sign lifetime contracts with NDAs by Jill and Derek Duggar in the new docuseries. Next post. Ginger shows no support for Joel Dillard. Given that Ginger Duggar is vehemently against IBLP and even wrote a book, her silence on the new docuseries is chilling. The docuseries broke down the abuse, cover-ups, and rampant sexual abuse within the IBLP. Ginger wrote a book about the damaging teachings. As a person that claims to care about the victims and survivors of the IBLP, Ginger should be one of the first to praise the brave survivors who told their stories. But she's silent. She showed no love for Jill on her new book. Jill praised Ginger and supported her by sharing links for people to buy Ginger's book. Ginger has a lot of work to do if she wants to be free and an advocate for victims. Her silence here is very telling. She's seemingly still afraid of her dad. Kylie Joy is such a bitch. Is Kylie Joy forgetting that Ginger herself is a victim? Is she not possibly still trying to work through her own situation? Has Ginger ever claimed that she's an advocate for victims? How does Kylie Joy not know that Ginger and Jill are actually communicating privately behind the scenes? Why is she stalking these people like this? Why is she harassing Ginger like this? Why is she expecting so much from Ginger when Ginger herself has so much to deal with? She has done nothing but berated, degraded, humiliated, and even gone as far as criticized Ginger for the way she chose to tell her story. How is this okay? Why is Kylie Joy victimizing the victims? Why is this okay for Kylie Joy to do? Why? Moving on. Josh Duggar was sent away 3 times, not once. Why are you regurgitating old shit? Why? Josh Duggar was sent away 3 times by the Duggar family following his sexual abuse of minor girls. One of those times happened to be at an IBLP facility. But the first time he was sent to live in a shed on a friend's property, he was left isolated and alone and spent his days digging out sludge from a pond. He received no counseling, no help during the stay. He stayed at the property for over a month. His only contact was when the man would bring him food. So it's easy to hate Josh. But when you think about a 13-year-old boy being sent to an isolated shed and given no help, you understand how he became a man he is today. Bullshit, Kylie Joy. Bullshit. Now, where are you going to with this? Because if now you're feeling bad and trying to figure out why Josh is the way he is, you're sick. You're sick in your fucking head. Josh deserves to be where he is. He had ample opportunities, but he chose to do fucked up things. Moving on. Update on an order of protection against Jim Hart. Not interested about Jim Hart. When his story comes out, we'll deal with it. But what I'm not going to do is go off only what you report on. How come you only know the story? Why aren't you telling the whole story? You can't hold water. Why are you so afraid to tell the story? Tell us the details. Domestic discipline not common in Duggar circle. On the Amazon docuseries, a former fundamentalist wife, Tia Levings, explained that domestic discipline is common in fundamentalism and the IBLP. She explained her experience of being abused by her husband. While her tale was horrific, it is important to set the record straight on the Duggars. I've spoken to numerous church leaders, adult women and child survivors of the Duggars' immediate circle, and domestic discipline or men spanking their wives was not practiced. How do people know what goes on behind closed doors, Kylie Joy? And how do these people know? I'm talking about adult women, child survivors, church elders. How do they know what goes on in the bedroom between Jim Bob and his wife? Because clearly, if she followed suit when her son was abusing her daughters and she kept her mouth shut, did nothing to help them, why is she now or anybody else going to come out and say how she was disciplined by her husband? Corporal punishment of children was standard for all families. However, I've spoken to dozens of people associated with the Duggars and their churches, and it's not anything the Duggars ever endorsed nor discussed. Additionally, Jim Bob and Michelle's physical abuse of the kids was mild by comparison to some of their friends. Not to say that any level is okay, but these two were so obsessed with looking perfect and praying eyes on them during filming curtailed a lot. No one I've ever spoken to has ever suggested Jim Bob was physically violent to Michelle. Wow. It's like following this woman is like a dog chasing its tail, honestly. Jim Bob is domineering, controlling, narcissistic, verbally abusive, but he's not a domestic discipline endorser. And how do you know that for sure, Kylie Joy? Are you a fly on the wall? Have you got magic powers? Just asking. Josh Duggar is more the type to be sexually violent than to hit Anna. He 100% was the enforcer of corporal punishment of his kids, and all of them were allegedly blanket trained, according to multiple people with knowledge. It's important in a docuseries to not confuse audiences. While my heart goes out to the victims of domestic discipline, this simply didn't happen in the Dagger circle. So what are you trying to do? Saying that Miss Tia Levings' trauma or experiences should be discounted because it didn't happen to the Duggars? Is that what you're saying? Because if you are saying that, that is fucked up. And like you said, this is not about the Duggars only. It's about the IBLP, the fundamentalist, the actions that they choose to live by. Jim Bob Duggar did not take over the IBLP and holds no leadership there. Last post of the night. Paul and Morgan have never been IBLP and are Pentecostal. Paul and Morgan were featured on the Amazon Prime documentary about the IBLP and Duggars. Their involvement is utter nonsense and garbage. Paul and Morgan are not IBLP and have never been IBLP. To equate all Christian influences to being influenced by God, a straw man argument. What? An IBLP apologist will use this as proof that the series is false. Fact. Christian fundamentalist is not the same as Pentecostal faith. Pentecostal believers can be conservative. However, Paul and Morgan promote conservative Christian beliefs, not the IBLP. Who said they did? I didn't understand it to be that way when I was watching the documentary. Even the two girls, the two Christian, what were their names? Somebody can remind me in the comments. Morgan stating that a wife is to submit to her husband is not IBLP. It's literally in the Bible. Duh. The couple have some super conservative beliefs, but they are not at all like the IBLP crew. They don't have strict rules about the media, music, or dress. They live in the modern world. They aren't in a cult that promotes teachings of a man that believes God speaks to him. Fact, the Bible itself teaches about submission. It's the IBLP that uses the umbrella of authority and takes it to extremes. I am not a fan of Paul and Morgan at all, but they are not remotely as extreme as the IBLP, implying they were influenced by the IBLP is ridiculous. Pentecostal faith is in and of itself conservative to the Bible. Watch Hillsong. Paul and Morgan would be better suited to a documentary about Hillsong than IBLP. Guess what, Kylie Joy? Once again, I'm going to say this. You bragged about how you have this production company. Why don't you use your production company and do something productive? Because all this bullshit about you knowing, thinking that you know better than anybody else, is getting old. You victimizing victims, shaming victims, and trying to take away from their stories. That is shameful. Well, you guys, those are all the posts that Kylie Joy made today. You know what's the sad part about it is that she shortchanged herself, because Kylie Joy normally makes, 3 videos a day? She only made 1 video today, and I'm sure she has an excuse for that, but I don't think so. I think Kylie Joy is so triggered and still cannot handle rejection. So she posted all that today, and in my opinion, in hopes to debunk this docuseries. Once again, I truly appreciated that docuseries, listening to the victims and how they regained control of their lives, took back their power, and they dominated. And the part of Backwards Barbie, let me know if you guys paid attention to it. And it was totally priceless. It may be petty of me, but whatever. Again, what purpose did Amy King have? She didn't bring anything valuable to the table, in my opinion. I wish all those victims nothing but the best, and appreciate them for being brave enough to tell their stories, and knowing that Kylie Joy is so triggered that she took away from her day to feverishly post like this all day just because she cannot handle rejection and felt that she had to prove herself. That is so sad. There is so much more to life, like spending time with that adorable son of hers and focusing on what is truly important, what is inside her home. People will always say and think what they want to, but as long as you know who you are, who cares? But at the end of the day, a liar, a grifter, and an insecure person never has peace of mind. So you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Please be safe out there. Be kind to one another, and don't forget to make good memories. Bye guys.